Hey, Photo Friends Plus members, I wanted to just walk through my process for doing and taking part in the self-portrait contest this month. So here on the screen, you can see a few examples of what I shot. I was trying to be a little bit more creative than I have in the past in terms of the background for my photo, which is always super important. So you can see here, I did a couple wide shots as well where I wasn't looking directly at camera, just showing more of like a candid pose of what I might be doing, putting up some photos, checking out some prints. These prints were actually done by Will. Shout out, he has a great photo printer, so that's awesome. This one didn't really work out. I also realized I was wearing like really dirty, crappy tennis shoes, so this would not be a photo I would use. And these are actually all the selects, so there's a bunch of photos that I took and I didn't end up using. Then I did one closer to camera. I swapped lenses, so this set right here was shot with on my Fuji X-T4 with the 16 to 55, and then this one right here was shot with the 56 millimeter f1.2 prime lens. So I opened all the way up. I had two lights. One was, and you could maybe see them, one was softbox on me, and then one was pointed at the background. And I dimmed it down really low, got it as close as possible to me so that you got sort of a natural vignetting in this photo. Here's one where I'm looking directly up at the light. Having this eye light in here is always good. You see this reflection of the light in my eye. It just makes people's eyes pop a little bit more than if it wasn't in there. So that's something to pay attention to. Here's an example where you can't see that eye light in this eye or really in this one as much. Ooh, I see that red dot. What is that? That was weird. Is that on? I don't know what that red dot was. But to see how the difference is from this photo. And then let's see this one. Even this one, I had to brighten up the eyes just a bit for them to pop even more. And then I got a couple more just sitting at the desk as well. Now this is an interest, and these ones didn't work out because I was way too dark. Background was too bright. I tried to boost the shadows on this one, but it almost looks like I'm on a green screen when I start to do that. So the ones that I ended up liking the most were these four right here. And what did I do in the edit? Well, you can see that I did two in black and white, two in color. And interestingly, I'm wearing this bright Hawaiian print shirt, and I think that lends itself to being a color portrait. But I actually kind of like the black and white. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. But I think that just having those textures is kind of nice. And of course, black and white portraits are always kind of cool. But then you compare it to this one and it's like, bam, that's awesome. Let's do a little comparison view. So you can see these two photos, before and after, or not before and after, black and white color. Let me know what you think. You want to see the before and after? Let's see what I kind of did. Over on the right-hand side, you can see the before, after. So I boosted that contrast. I boosted the vibrance. I added a little bit of vignetting to the photo. I also added some brushes. So if I click on brushes, so I added a couple brushes that do different things. So here you can see it highlighting in red when I hover over these brushes or these individual adjustments. So this one, for example, was just a little bit of softening of my skin. So I basically just decreased the clarity there so that all those like details aren't as apparent. This one right here was desaturating my teeth to make them a little bit whiter. This one is sort of a general vignette right here overall. And then I chose the opposite of that and I boosted the contrast and the exposure of the inside of my portrait. And then I did a couple individual adjustments. I was using, oops, I don't want to add any more brushing. I was using I think it was at f1.2, and so it's super shallow depth of the field, so you can see that like my left eye isn't as in focus, and you want to really try to make sure that eyes and things are in focus in your photos. And so I just added a bit of sharpening and clarity to this bit right here. I might even go in one more time, go with a brush on this eye, and add a little bit of sharpness. So that's what you do. That's how you can sharpen individual parts of your photo. And that just, when you're zoomed out, it looks pretty good. But with that super shallow depth of field, it's pretty hard to get sharp focus, especially when you're doing it yourself. I was using the Fuji app, and a lot of cameras have this where you can actually go on your phone if you have a smartphone and connect to your camera and actually shoot or take photos of yourself. And so that was beneficial, but still it was kind of hard. I put it on a 2-second timer so I could press the button and then kind of try to pose, but still kind of hard. Now this photo too, I did some brushing a lot on my eyes. Right here you can see a few brushes on my eyes. Again, just sharpening things, brightening up my eyes, adding some contrast and some clarity to try to make them pop a little bit more. And then a couple big sort of radial brushes to add some vignetting. And if all of this is confusing in terms of the brushes and you're like, oh, I have no clue what you're talking about, Phil, if you do use Lightroom, I suggest taking our Lightroom course, and that one's obviously included with your Plus membership, and that it will go over all these things like individual brushes and how my process for editing portraits and things like that. And with Lightroom, I just sort of copied and pasted these settings over here to this photo. This photo I cropped in. I also did a couple brushes. So see this one right here. I just made those corners a little bit darker. Same here. Just a little bit. And then this photo right here, or this brush right here, just added a little bit of exposure to the subject, which is me. So what do you think? What one's your favorite? I think that these two, this one might be my favorite. Oh gosh, I don't know. I usually like to smile in my photos, so that's why I don't necessarily like this photo as much. But this one, I think, makes sense a little bit more for me to look kind of serious. It's definitely a photo I can see using on social media or on my website or things like that. Different than photos that I've done in the past. These two photos too, I like. Let me know in the comments what you think about these two photos. So anyways, I can't wait to see all of your photos that you submit this month. We'll be picking our winners and doing some sort of special prize or announcement for our favorite one. And yeah, just thank you so much for watching. If you have questions, leave them in the comments, and we'll see you next time.